Good morning. Welcome back to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church, where compassion leads us to work for justice and equality. I'm glad you came today, and it is my hope that you will find something here that nourishes your heart, feeds your mind, and grows your spirit. To all of you that are joining us on Facebook Live this morning, welcome. Keep an eye out for our weekly email for updates on our ongoing reopening, as well as how to access our service online each week. And speaking of online, Wi-Fi in the building, we're going to be cutting that during the service just so that our streaming can go uninterrupted. It'll be back on after the service, we promise. My name is Tanner Trask, and I am the worship associate this morning. Be you a spiritual seeker, an atheist, or a theist, whether you find inspiration in the great books, or the great outdoors, or great conversations, all are welcome in our inclusive congregation. To newcomers and old friends both, together we say, welcome. A special thanks to our volunteers and staff this morning, our AV team in the back that's making all of this possible, our chalice lighter and today menorah lighter, Myrtle Mcmann, our meditation leader, Diane Austin, our social justice chair, Cindy Fountain, as well as our director of lifespan religious education, Nikki Kennedy, our pianist, Dr. Yuki Kumamoto, our sexton, Jean McKeon, and our office administrator, Dawn McGee. And I'd like to just take a moment to recognize that we are back in the church for the first time in a really long time. And we're still taking our necessary COVID precautions, and we still need to be careful to keep our community safe. But the hard work of our reopening task force, our community nurse, Kim Hart, and the other volunteers and staff that worked really hard to get us here deserves recognition. Thank you all, and it's because of you that I will be able to thank you in person here on Page Avenue. And quick note, I know wearing masks for a very long time can be difficult, and I know it can be hard to carry on a conversation at times. After the service, the garden outside will be open. Not a bad time to check out all the cool updates to the garden. And while you're outside, if you're comfortable in maintaining distance, you can take your masks off to have a conversation, and I believe we'll have some coffee and tea available as well. It is a Unitarian Universalist church, after all. And today, we will be celebrating the beginning of December with our Hanging of the Greens service. For those of you who are not familiar, we put up wreaths, garland, a tree, and other decorations for the season today. And they will remain up until the beginning of January. Linda Ice has graciously agreed to allow me to read a reflection he gave all the way back on a different December the 5th, one in 2010, on a chilly Sunday morning in this very pulpit, titled Worldview, Rededication, and Renewal. And one last thing before I begin, I'm going to take off my worship associate hat and put on my transition team hat. I didn't bring actual hats today. I woke up too late. As most of you know, the congregation voted back at our last congregational meeting to hire a full-time contract minister. We still have a ways to go, but I did want to give you a quick update on that process. We should be posting the job listing in the next week. We'll include the link in the following email blast. That way, if anybody needs it for any reason, maybe you know somebody who knows somebody, you'll have access to it. And we look to that near future with some cautious hope. We know that we need to find the right candidate, not just the quickest or most convenient. I do believe we are offering competitive and fair wages and benefits, and I believe Westside has a lot to offer a prospective minister. However, most ministers look for new jobs when teachers do, which is generally in the summer, and we'll be looking in the middle of winter. And other religions across other sort of religious organizations around the country, not just Unitarian Universalist, are experiencing a shortage of ministers and other religious professionals. We are committed to honoring the congregational vote and finding a full-time contract minister that will be a good fit for Westside. It may just take us a little more time. And back to my worship leader hat to say, please make yourself comfortable during the service. Sit, stand, rock, wiggle, or be still as a silent night. I think we all got a little used to that while attending at home. And as we prepare to listen to this morning's prelude, please turn all cell phones completely off so that the signals do not interfere with our hearing assistive devices. And we'll listen to Yuki play our prelude. Thank you, Yuki. Our opening words come from Wayne Arneson. We affirm that new light is ever waiting to break through to enlighten our ways, that new truth is ever waiting to break through to illumine our minds, and that new love is ever waiting to break through to warm our hearts. May we be open to this light and the rich possibilities that it brings us. And at this time, I'm going to invite Myrtle Mcmann forward to light our menorah today, well, her own menorah today. And I'll light the chalice. The flaming chalice is a symbol of both the heritage of our past and the light of hope within this church today. And today we mark the 8th and final night of Hanukkah. Myrtle brought her menorah from home to light in honor of the season. And for those of you at home, if you have a chalice at home that you would like to light with us, please do so now.
This evening will be the last night of Hanukkah. Even when challenges seem insurmountable, hope is always present. A small group of faithful, committed people really can create change. Faith is what calls us to move forward in love and hope, even when we can't know how it will all turn out. Happy Hanukkah. All right. Thank you, Myrtle.
And our chalice song today is Rise Up, O Flame. And you are invited to stand or sit tall. You are also invited to sing if you have your mask fully on. Thank you.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
All right, so please remain as you are and join me in reciting the affirmation of this church. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Thank you. And remain as you are and join me for our opening hymn, Deck the Halls, written by Thomas Oliphant and performed by Dr. Yuki Kumamoto as we decorate our halls. Right, that sounded great. You may all be seated. Kind of strange to see all the verses to that one. All right, and our time for all ages will be presented today by Nikki Kennedy and Jana Kennard, and I believe they'll be able to explain to you what all these candles are doing in your seats.
Good morning, Westside. From the sanctuary, here with all of you today, we are so excited. Not only am I excited to be here with you guys, but I'm super excited that my friend Miss Jana is here with me today to do Time for All Ages. Today, we want to talk to you a little bit about light and how light makes a difference for us all.
If you're here with us in the sanctuary this morning, you noticed some tea lights on your chair when you came in. If you're at home, imagine that you have one in your hand. As we celebrate the hanging of the greens today, we also want to celebrate the light that shines within each of you. We are using an adaptation of the Light of the World service, which some of you may remember. Thank you so much, Linda Ice. And when we look at traditions from around the world, there are a couple of common threads carried through each and every world view. Lights representing the desire to illuminate our hearts and our minds. and an overwhelming sense of renewal and rededication to being the best that we can be. It is a time to hope that darkness will give way to light and that the world will be a better place in the year to come.
Each time you light a candle, you watch the sunrise, or you turn on a light as you enter a room, we hope you will remember that your light shines as well. No one person can light the world. No one person can even light up the Westside community. But one person's light can be used to help another person's light shine.
We all can be the light of the world if we seek to act in ways that enlarge the realms of love and justice. When we share another's pain or offer a comforting ear to a friend in need.
When we give bread to the hungry or support ways to house the homeless.
When we fight temptations to wrongdoing within ourselves and treat our neighbors with respect.
When we try to overcome differences with understanding and solve conflict in peaceful ways.
When we look for the good in other people and within ourselves.
When we do not stay quiet in the face of prejudice, but we speak firmly and gently.
When we fight despair within ourselves and side with hope.
When we use our powers justly and in the service of love for all of humanity.
We all are the light of the world.
Let it be so.
Blessed be, and amen. Now, how will you use your light to make a difference in lighting up the Westside community?
How will your light be contagious to be part of helping us light the world?
All right, thank you, Nikki and Jana. So, at this time, I invite Brenda McKeon, one of our pastoral care associates, to share the joys and concerns of our congregation.
As we share our joys with others, those joys are multiplied. As we share our concerns, our community can offer its care. Anyone can submit a joy or concern by emailing the pastoral care team at pastoralcare@westsideu.org or through a web form located in the program tab on your church website. Click Caring and Support, or through one of these pink sheets. I'll begin with concerns and ask that the person who wrote the joy or concern stand or raise your hand so that we may know who you are. I have one joy from the membership committee. We have had a tradition of giving bread to the first-time visitors. Today will be the first giving of bread to anyone who's starting today or was here during the pandemic. So please let us know who you are. Thank you. Sharing draws our community together. Please know that your pastoral care associates are also available to support you one-on-one with the ups and downs that life brings. We are here for you. Thank you.
All right. So, as we hold all of the joys and challenges among us, both those spoken and those that remain unsaid, let us sing Voice Still and Small, and then Diane Austin will lead our meditation of shared compassion.
Still and small, deep inside all. invite you to join me in a time of centering. Each week here at Westside, we open our hearts to those in our community who know both joys and challenges, and to all suffering beings. I will begin with a reading before we move into a time for silent reflection. I will sound the bell to signal the start of the time for your own meditation, prayer, or reflection, and sound it again at the end. Our reading is a poem by Lynn, Angar, called The Path. Life, the saying says, is a journey, and who could argue with that? We've all experienced the surprising turns, the nearly impassable swamp, the meadow of flowers that turned out not to be quite so blissful and benign as we first thought, the crest of the hill where the road smoothed out and sloped toward home. Our job, we say, is to remain faithful to the path before us, which is an assumption as common as it is absurd. Really, look ahead. What do you see? If there is a path marked out in front of you, it was almost certainly laid down for someone else. The path only unfolds behind us, our steps themselves laying down the road. You can look back and see the signposts, the ones you followed and the ones you missed. But there are no markers for what lies ahead. You can tell the story of how you forded the stream or got lost on the shortcut that wasn't, how you trekked your way to courage or a heart. But all of that comes after the fact. There is no road ahead. There is only the walking. The tales we weave of our adventures and the songs we sing to call our companions on. May it be so, blessed be, and amen.
Thank you, Diane. And now I'd like to welcome our Social Justice Chair, Cindy Fountain, to tell you about the recipients of our plate offering today. You can give in person today or on the Vanco mobile app or the church website anytime. Just select the Sunday Plate Offering Fund.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all, finally, in person. In the spirit of generosity, we reach out to the wider community. Today, we do that by by donating 100% of our weekly offering to Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry. If you are contributing to your pledge today, please use the small envelopes at the bottom of the bowl when it's passed. From its website, the Texas UU Justice Ministry is a statewide justice ministry that raises the voice of Unitarian Universalist values in the public arena and seeks to have those values enacted into legislation and promulgated in public policy. Texas UU Justice Ministry will educate and organize member congregations and partner with sympathetic organizations in order to do this work, guided by our UU principles. Westside has been a member congregation since 2012, and with this connection we became aware of the Just Texas program that invited churches to become reproductive justice congregations, which we have been since 2017. It was also through our membership that Westside secured grant money so that local organizations like ISIS and United Fort Worth were able to meet in our building. Each Texas legislative session, Texas UU Justice Ministry keeps congregations informed of the top priorities where UUs can make our voices heard. The timing of this plate offering happens to come when the founding executive director, Reverend Chuck Freeman, is now in hospice after fighting serious health issues this past year. Chuck has been a very passionate and active leader of Texas UU Justice Ministry. Shortly before he entered hospice, he sent a message to all Texas UUs. Stay strong, keep up the fight. This morning's offering will be most gratefully received.
All right. Thank you for putting into practice here at Westside the spiritual virtue of generosity. Our giving connects us further to the wider web of community. So, this is Linda Ice's reflection from 2010, Worldviews, Rededication, and Renewal. As she has kindly allowed me to deliver this today, I will be presenting it as originally written, including the dates on the calendar. They were all accurate in 2010. Don't know 100% if they match up in 2021. But wanted to give you the heads up on that. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Bodhi Day, and a blessed Yuletide. When my students and I started choosing solo music to sing for the winter voice recital at school, I asked one of my sweet 7th grade girls, Ishani, who happens to be Hindu, about her faith traditions and how they celebrated the holidays. She very eagerly answered, "Oh, we worship many gods and goddesses." She talked about Diwali, where they place candles along their sidewalk leading to their front door, inviting the goddess of wealth to enter. And just between you and me, I believe she, the goddess of wealth, had definitely entered their home. But then, in the next breath, she was talking about making gingerbread cookies and pumpkin muffins, so clearly they have adopted many American secular traditions as well. Another one of my students said, "We don't really celebrate the holidays." Being an interested and proudly curious and open-minded teacher, I asked if this was due to religious reasons. He said, "Well, my dad is Jewish, and so we don't really do much at the holidays." He was delighted to hear that we too celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas with our godson's family. I think he may have thought he was one of a kind. Little did he know. By the way, we settled on a very holiday-neutral selection of a John Denver classic, Aspen Glow, for him to sing at the recital. These situations really got me thinking, and inspired by Russell's What Little I Know About series this last summer, I thought it would be interesting to take a look at how other faith communities celebrate in and around December, as we in our community of Westside celebrate our own December traditions. In Hinduism. In the Hindu tradition, Diwali is a 5-day festival celebrated in late October or early November based on the lunar calendar. This year it was celebrated on October 26th. The festival is centered on the lighting of candles, electric lights, and fireworks. Diwali is named for the row of lights that lead Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, into their homes. Gambling is encouraged during the Diwali season as a way of ensuring good luck for the coming year, and in remembrance of the games of dice played by the Lord Shiva and Parvati on Mount Kailasa. In honor of Lakshmi, the female player always wins during Diwali. Too bad we didn't know that on casino night, right, ladies? The fourth day, the main day of Diwali, marks the beginning of the new year according to the Vikrama calendar. This day is typically filled with religious ceremonies, visiting friends and family, exchanging gifts, cleaning and decorating houses, feasting, setting off fireworks displays, and wearing new clothes. And in Judaism, this past Thursday marked the first night of Hanukkah. Hanukkah is a Jewish holiday celebrated for 8 days and nights. In Hebrew, the word Hanukkah means dedication. In 168 BCE, the Jewish temple was seized by Syrian Greek soldiers and dedicated to the worship of the god Zeus. Now this upset the Jewish people, but many were afraid to fight back for fear of reprisals. Then, in 167 BCE, the Syrian Greek emperor Antiochus made the observance of Judaism an offense punishable by death. He also ordered all Jews to worship the Greek gods. Jewish resistance to this began in the village of Modi'in, near Jerusalem. Greek soldiers forcibly gathered the Jewish villagers and told them to bow down to an idol and then eat the flesh of a pig, both practices that are forbidden to Jews. A Greek officer ordered Matthias, a high priest, to comply to their demands, but Matthias refused. When another villager stepped forward and offered to cooperate on Matthias's behalf, the high priest became outraged. He drew his sword and killed the villager, then turned on the Greek officer and killed him too. His 5 sons and the other villagers then attacked the remaining soldiers killing all of them. Matthias and his family went into hiding in the mountains, where other Jews wishing to fight against the Greeks joined them. Eventually, they succeeded in retaking their land from the Greeks, and these rebels became known as the Maccabees. Once the Maccabees had regained control, they returned to the temple in Jerusalem. By this time, it had been spiritually defiled by being used for the worship of foreign gods and also by practices such as sacrificing swine. Jewish troops were determined to purify the temple by burning ritual oil in the temple's menorah for 8 days. But to their dismay, they discovered there was only 1 day's worth left of oil in the temple. They lit the menorah anyway, and to their surprise, the small amount of oil lasted the full 8 days. This is the miracle of the Hanukkah oil that is celebrated every year when Jews light a special menorah known as the Hanukkah for 8 days. 1 candle is lit on the first night of Hanukkah, 2 on the second, and so on until all 8 candles are lit. In most Jewish homes, Hanukkah is celebrated with prayers and by lighting the Hanukkah for 8 days, playing dreidel games, and eating chocolate gelt and fried foods like potato latkes. In fact, we learned last night at our Hanukkah party that potato latkes, being fried in oil, is a tribute, if you will, to the miracle of the oil at the temple, which sounds like a good enough reason to eat something fried to me. The practice of exchanging gifts on each of the 8 nights was adapted to blend with Christian and secular societies. So for Islam, our friends in the Muslim community will be celebrating Al-Hijra, the Islamic New Year, this coming Tuesday, December 7th. This celebration marks the migration of the Prophet Muhammad and his followers from Mecca to Medina, which led to the establishment of the Muslim community. Typically, gifts are exchanged and stories are told of Muhammad and his companions. Ashura, another Islamic holy day, will be observed on December 16th. Shiite Muslims regard it as a major festival recognizing the martyrdom of the Prophet's grandson, Hussein. Ashura is an Arabic word meaning 10, and according to Sunni schools of thought, it is a day of optional fasting. Jews in the city of Medina fasted only 1 day on Yom Kippur, the 10th of Tishri, because they believed that the prophet Moses fasted on this day. So the prophet Muhammad would fast 2 to express his connection of Islam and the brotherhood with the earlier prophet. By Islamic tradition, this day commemorates God saving Moses and the Israelites from Pharaoh in Egypt as they crossed the Red Sea. And for Buddhism, our Buddhist friends are celebrating the season with reflection, rededication, gifts, and family. This coming Wednesday, December the 8th, marks Bodhi Day, in which Buddhists honor the enlightenment of Siddhartha Gautama, who would later become the Buddha. Bodhi Day, the day of enlightenment, is a day of remembrance and meditation. Often, colored lights are strung about the home to recognize this day. They are multicolored to symbolize the many pathways to enlightenment. The lights are turned on each evening, beginning on December 8th, and for 30 days thereafter. In Buddhist homes, you may see a tree similar to a ficus, decorated with multicolored lights representing the many Buddhist paths. It will likely be strung with beads to symbolize the way all things are united, and hung with 3 shiny ornaments to represent the 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. It may be topped with a star representing the rising of the morning star, marking Sakyamuni's enlightenment. You may even see a small statue of the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree. A meal of rice and milk is significant on this holiday. According to Buddhist legend, Sujata offered this to the Buddha upon his awakening to help him regain his strength. Gifts are given to the young members of family. Adults exchange gifts of a non-material nature, such as making your loved one a meal, cleaning the house, or washing dishes. The Buddhist tradition recognizes Shushoe, the day of renewal, on New Year's Day. They reflect on their life, purpose, and spiritual practice, and make a rededication to live a life of Nembutsu, compassion, and gratitude. They take time to read about Buddhism, meditate and chant with family and friends, and have a vegetarian or vegan renewal dinner. Prayers are spoken, and each person reflects on their faults, declaring to friends and family what they need to do to live a life of love, understanding, and faith. And for Christianity. At this time of year, many Christians are preparing for the birth of their Savior, Jesus Christ, through the season of Advent. Advent is marked by a spirit of expectation, of anticipation, of preparation, and of longing. There is yearning for deliverance from the evils of the world, first expressed by Israelite slaves in Egypt as they cried out from their bitter oppression. Candles on an Advent wreath are lit on each of the 4 Sundays preceding Christmas Day. The first candle is a candle of expectation. The second represents love. The third, joy. And the fourth, peace. The center candle is the Christ candle, representing Jesus Christ as the light of the world, and is traditionally lit on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, December 25th, marking the birth of Jesus Christ. Worldwide, there are as many Christian Christmas traditions as there are cultures and denominations. Each has adopted their customs and stories to celebrate the miracle of Christ's birth. And for the winter solstice, long ago, on one of the shortest days of the year, a Scottish family huddled by a fire. Outside, the winds raged and howled in the gathering gloom. The family believed that trolls and evil spirits walked the earth during late fall and early winter, when the sun was at its lowest point in the sky. But the father knew a Scottish ritual that would keep the family safe. He took 3 glowing coals from the fire and dropped them into a basin of water. Then each family member washed with the special water. They believed that the magic of fire and water together would protect them from evil spirits. Hundreds of years ago, many people, like this Scottish family, thought that ghosts and witches and trolls wandered the earth. One especially dangerous time was the winter solstice, the first day of winter. People worried that the sun's strength would not return. Without the sun's light, there could be no plants, no animals, and no humans. With evil spirits everywhere, neighbors had to join forces. This was a time for goodwill, forgiveness, and love. Many ancient people believed that special rituals and ceremonies could help the sun be reborn. Thousands of years ago, at Stonehenge and other places in the British Isles, people placed huge stones together to frame the setting sun on the day of the winter solstice. As the red sun sank slowly in the west, the last rays of light gleamed through a special place between the stones. These people wanted to know when the sun would regain its strength, and they went to great trouble to mark the exact time this would happen. The ancient Romans held a special celebration at the time of winter solstice. There was a week-long feast during which people walked in another person's shoes. Masters waited on their servants, and criminals were treated with honor and respect. The Romans gave presents to their friends and relatives. They also gave each other candles. Coins and small gifts were hidden in pudding, and evergreens were brought indoors. In parts of northern Europe, people lit great bonfires to celebrate the rebirth of the sun. Some people tied apples to the branches of oaks and firs to remind themselves that summer would come again. And a more recent one, human light. Human light represents yet another reason to celebrate. Human light, which was first begun by humanists in 2001, celebrates three things: humanity, reason, and hope. Human light was generally celebrated on December 23rd. That date allows human light to connect itself to the December holiday season without interfering with other winter holidays. Human light is the vision of a good future. It is a future in which all people can identify with each other, behave with the highest moral standards, and work together toward a happy, just, and peaceful world. The celebration of human light, and I quote, gives one an opportunity to convey that, although we do not believe in the supernatural, we do believe in the growth and betterment of all people through reason, science, empathy, joy, optimism, and moral excellence. So, how do we, as Unitarian Universalists, embrace these many traditions? Well, like the Romans, some of us light candles, some give gifts to our friends and relatives, and some of us make special foods and desserts. Like the people long ago of Northern Europe, we may decorate a tree, hang a mistletoe, and like many ancient people, we celebrate the season as a time of love and goodwill. In our Unitarian Universalist congregations, we continue to strive to acknowledge with respect the many, many faith traditions that are celebrated at this time of year. As I researched these traditions, I found that there does seem to be a couple of common threads carried through each and every worldview. Lights representing the desire to illuminate our hearts and our minds, and secondly, an overwhelming sense of renewal and rededication to being the best that we can be. It is a time to hope that darkness will give way to light and that the world will be a better place in the year to come. My encouragement, my hope for us this season is that we may do more than stand side by side and accept these holy days that might not be our own. May we instead listen to these diverse stories and their message and ask ourselves, how might I be changed? May we do so much more than tolerate, be so much more than tolerant. Rather, may we interact and engage with those who celebrate in other ways. Ours is a church of diversity, and it says, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Bodhi Day, and a blessed Yuletide to you, each and every one. Now we get to listen to some more music from Yuki. And to close today, I would like to share a reading by Robert Ingersoll, a famous agnostic writer who submitted this Christmas wish to the Arena magazine in Boston in December of 1897. What I want for Christmas. If I had the power to produce exactly what I want for next Christmas, I would have all the kings and emperors resign and allow the people to govern themselves. I would have all the nobility crop their titles and give their lands back to the people. I would have the Pope throw away his tiara, take off his sacred vestments, and admit that he is not acting for God, is not infallible, but is just an ordinary Italian. I would have all the cardinals, archbishops, bishops, priests, and clergymen admit that they know nothing about theology, nothing about hell or heaven, nothing about the destiny of the human race, nothing about devils or ghosts, gods or angels. I would have them tell all of their flocks to think for themselves, to be manly men and womanly women, and to do all in their power to increase the sum of human happiness. I would have all the professors in colleges, all the teachers in schools of every kind, including those in Sunday schools, agree that they would teach only what they know, that they would not palm off guesses as demonstrated truths. I would like to see all the politicians changed to statesmen, to men who long to make their country great and free, to men who care more for the public good than private gain, men who long to be of use. I would like to see all the editors of papers and magazines agree to print the truth, and nothing but the truth, to avoid all slander and misrepresentation, and to let the private affairs of the people left alone. I would like to see drunkenness and prohibition both abolished. I would like to see corporal punishment done away with in every home, in every school, in every asylum, reformatory, and prison. Cruelty hardens and degrades. Kindness reforms and ennobles. I would like to see the millionaires unite and form a trust for the public good. I would like to see a fair division of profits between capital and labor, so that the toiler could save enough to mingle a little June with the December of his life. I would like to see an international court established in which to settle disputes between nations, so that armies could be disbanded and the great navies allowed to rust and rot in perfect peace. I would like to see the whole world free from injustice, free from superstition, and this will do for next Christmas. The following Christmas, I may want more. Our closing hymn today is "We Would Be One" by Samuel Wright.
With love and justice, strive.
Thank you, Carol, and another thank you to Linda Ice for all the work she did for many years for this church, work she still continues to do, and for allowing me to read that reflection. Our closing words are by the Reverend Dr. Elizabeth Strong, titled "The Light for Everyone Who Comes into the World." Let the flame go from life to life till all is lit with its warmth. Tell that the light means wisdom. Tell that the light means kindness. Tell that the light means understanding. Tell that the light means tolerance. Tell that the light means sacrifice. Tell that the light is a vision of a fairer world. Tell that this is the light that is lit for everyone who comes into this world. And please join in the congregational closing printed in your order of service. Let us go in peace, believe in peace, and create peace in our lives and in the world. May it be so. And thank you all so much for being here. For those of you on Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in. We do have coffee available out in the back garden, where again, if you're comfortable and you're maintaining distance, you can take masks off. If you're staying in the building, please keep them on. Thank you so much. And that's it for the formal service today, folks. Thanks so much for being here.